Hello, this is Dias and a new author's story from my channel Russian Revenge Story. Stas's parents always dreamed of him becoming a musician. Everyone in their family was a musician, and it was somehow assumed that Stasik would follow the beaten path. From early childhood, he simply had no free time. From a regular school, he ran to a music school, and from there to a tutor. If the boy had been asked, even if woken up in the middle of the night, what does he hate most in the world, he would have answered without hesitation, music. Of course, neither mom nor dad, nor especially grandma knew about this, otherwise they would all have immediately had a stroke. But Stas was silent, but for the time being. When he was in the 8th grade, and at home the shelf was already bursting with his awards, a girl came to their class. Even many years later, Stas remembered how his heart stopped and then started working again, but in a completely different rhythm. She was beautiful. She looked like an angel. And also, Stas also understood that he had no chance to even get close to her, thin, pale, always with some kind of musical instruments in his hands. It was a shame, but Stas is not one of those who give up so easily. He had been eyeing the girl for a week, whose name, by the way, was Angela, and then finally decided to approach her. "Hi." She looked at him with huge, surprised eyes. "Hi. Can I walk you home?" The girl laughed, looked at him and answered, "No, if the wind blows you away, I will have to answer. And if hooligans attack us, then I will have to save you." The whole class fell down and Stas ran home. His grandmother met him there. "What happened? Why aren't you in music school? And in general, what is with this disheveled look?" Stas threw the violin across the room onto the sofa with all his might and shouted, "Because I hate your music school. I hate music and I won't do it any more." Grandma clutched her heart, and Stas ran to his room and locked himself in there. From that day on, a turning point occurred in him. He categorically refused to do music. Grandma drank valerian, Mom cried, and Dad kept a meaningful silence. He understood his son. He himself had experienced similar emotions at his age. And even now he would go fishing, drink beer with the guys, and not all this. In the end, after Mom and Grandma even took him to a psychologist, Stas defended his right to choose what he would do. He signed up for a sports section for swimming, and, in general, he began to lead a completely opposite lifestyle. Mom cried again, Grandma drank valerian again, and Stas often came home with a broken nose. He never even approached music again. When he had to choose where to study, the female half of the family began to weekly suggest musical or cultural and educational programs. But Stas said that he would go into the police. Grandma was taken away by ambulance. Now Mom was taking valerian. He did not pass the medical examination. Then, gritting his teeth, he submitted documents for medical school. It seemed that the women exhaled a little. "Doctor, he is very respected, decent." But exactly until the moment when they found out what direction Stas had chosen, he was going to become a pathologist, and an unusual one who works for the investigation. "Stanislav Olegovich, how are you?" He looked at the major who entered the office and took a sip of tea. Igor was not only a major but also a close friend of Stas. "What about you, Igor? Are you following some kind of chain of command? The dead will never tell anyone that you can communicate normally." Igor grinned, sat down on a free chair and stared at Stas. "I just can't understand how you can eat here." Stas shrugged. "What's wrong? And where do you think I should eat? Should I run outside? By the way, should I pour myself some tea?" Igor swallowed convulsively and shook his head. No, thank you very much. Stas reached for the table and put the papers in front of Igor. Here's your conclusion. You didn't come to visit a friend, but specifically for them. Igor quickly looked through the sheets of paper and only then smiled. Thank you, Stas. Everything is as I thought. Now you can take your time and even pay attention to your friend. How are you? Stas laughed. Well, you are so mercenary. I'm even afraid to think how you would talk to me if there was a conclusion. Everything is fine with me. Until I got married. Mom and Dad are also doing well. Why don't you get married? I remember you stole the most beautiful lady from the last party. Why? Why? Because as soon as they find out where and who I work for, they disappear very quickly. And even those who 5 minutes ago really wanted to marry me. Have you made peace with Alka? Igor sighed. What the hell? She took Vanya and went to her mother. No amount of talking helps. My mother-in-law is also a great fuel to the fire. She keeps saying that they'll shoot me, and she'll be left alone with the child. Stas washed the mug. Strange women. And if she leaves you, files for divorce, she'll be left alone with the child. Igor looked at his friend pleadingly. Stas, talk to her. She's completely out of her mind. She doesn't want to listen to me. In general, the week is God knows what. Stas looked at his friend carefully. Yeah, you don't look so good. Did something else happen? Igor sat down more comfortably. Listen, I'm already thinking about quitting this job. Stas raised his eyebrows in surprise. He knew perfectly well that for Igor, service and honor were not just empty words. And from now on, in more detail. Well, you remember, I said that our boss changed. They sent such a tyrant, you can't even describe him with a pen. By the way, has he been to see you yet? Stas shook his head. He had already heard that the department head had changed, but he had never seen him before. You know, I have a feeling that this won't end well. He's kind of slippery, and the whole department is talking about how he hangs out with his colleagues. It's strange that the internal service hasn't taken an interest in him yet. Probably some hairy paw is there. Well, I'll hope that he doesn't get to me any time soon. You're lucky, sitting here in this basement, and no one cares about you. The bell rang in the office where they were sitting. Well, I jinxed it. They brought someone. Igor quickly said goodbye. He managed, however, to say that they were going to Allah's for the weekend to talk and quickly left. Stas went upstairs. He immediately realized that the man in uniform was the boss that everyone disliked so much. He was pretty rumpled, smelled of fumes, and kept yelling. Why should I wait? Where are you hanging around? Stas looked at him calmly and replied, Please don't raise your voice. This is not the place to yell and rush. The lieutenant colonel looked at him angrily but lowered his tone. An autopsy needs to be performed as quickly as possible. The girl has a bad heart, and her death is expected. So I'm expecting a quick report. There's nothing else to look for. The body will need to be given to the relatives in the evening. I'll organize everything here. Is this someone you know? The man hesitated, more like an acquaintance of an acquaintance. Just do everything as I said, okay? Stas nodded his head. I understand what's not to understand. That's good. I'll come in the evening. He went out, and Stas threw back the sheet and froze. Often the dead looked good, but the seal of death always left a mark on the face. But here, nothing. The young woman was as if alive. And she was also very beautiful. Stas sighed. Such young, beautiful people leave, and such not very good people, for some reason, remain. He gave the order and went to prepare for the autopsy. As soon as he picked up the scalpel, the body in front of him began to represent only professional interest, a kind of quest to find something that would put everything in its place. In this case, it would seem that there was no need to look for anything, but Stas is not the kind of person who takes others at their word. That is not his profession. He made a small incision, literally a centimeter, and stepped back from the table. The girl's skin noticeably trembled. Stas leaned toward her lips. No breathing, as if there was none, or was there? What kind of nonsense? He grabbed a stethoscope from the drawer and leaned over the body. At first he did not hear anything. Then he moved to the right side and froze. The girl's heart was beating on the right. This was a very big rarity, but how could she have been brought here alive? And her heart was beating weakly. Stas grabbed the phone. He understood that something was wrong, otherwise the lieutenant colonel would not have rushed him so much. Igor, I need your help urgently, but so that no one knows anything. Briefly explained the situation and hung up. Less than 15 minutes had passed when a friend appeared on the threshold. A woman with a suitcase was following him. Well, show me. The woman leaned over the girl. A few minutes later, she opened the suitcase. She was injected with something. We need to find the injection mark while I bring her to her senses. Igor and Stas got to work. The mark was quickly found, under the knee. Yes, such a very secret place. After 15 minutes, the girl groaned, and the doctor looked at them. What are we going to do? She needs to go to the hospital. She needs IVs. And we can arrange it at home. We are seriously worried about her safety. Perhaps we can. The body is strong. The girl doesn't drink or smoke. Igor said thoughtfully. It's not clear at all how she could have ended up in that company. Stas took off his robe. Let's go to my place. My shift ends in half an hour, but the replacement always arrives earlier. The main thing is to manage to carry the girl to the car before he shows up. They managed to do everything. Stas shouted to his partner, who arrived a minute after they shoved the girl into the car, that he was very late, but then they definitely did and immediately took off. Already at home, when the female doctor gave the girl an IV and her cheeks began to turn pink, Igor asked, "And what next? You understand, they'll miss you by evening. So, you have to talk to your own security service before evening." Igor just shook his head. Easy to say. Well, I'll try. The girl came to her senses 2 hours later. She looked around the room in surprise and stopped her gaze on Stas, and he simply died from the blueness of her eyes. "Who are you?" "And you?" She answered in confusion. "I'm Nastya, and where are those?" The doorbell rang, and Stas rushed into the hallway. It was Igor with 2 men. "You're just in time. The girl just woke up." The doctor said quietly, "Ask only the most important things. In about 20 minutes she'll fall asleep again." It turned out that the girl worked part-time in a cleaning company. She had the misfortune of cleaning the very cottage where the lieutenant colonel and his comrades were buzzing. The owner himself fell for the beautiful girl, and when she refused him, and in a rude manner, he got furious, knocked her down, and gave her some kind of injection. He said that now she would be accommodating, but either he miscalculated the dose or the girl's body had such a reaction. In general, they all made sure that she was dead. The heart could not be heard, and on the other hand, no one in a drunken stupor guessed that it was there. He needed a conclusion that they simply had cardiac arrest, which he himself ordered Stas to do by evening. By evening, Nastya had finally come to her senses. Stas had already told her under what circumstances they had met. The girl was scared, crushed, and asked to call her mother. The lieutenant colonel was taken right in the morgue. He came for the body, probably wanted to bury it as an unidentified person, or maybe something else. In general, 2 months later, Igor took over the department. They managed to persuade Alla to return. Not right away, of course, but Nastya helped a lot. She quietly said to Alla, "You can't imagine. If it weren't for Stas and your husband, I would no longer be in this world." And Alla sighed. "Oh, God be with you, hero. Load up your bags, let's go home." 3 months later, the forensic pathologist got married. Yes, there was a girl who didn't give a damn about his profession, not even a damn, but she treated it with some kind of trepidation. She said that only a good specialist in his field could save her life. Mom immediately calmed down. Lord, at least he found himself a normal wife, and not some lady in pants with a gun at the ready. She didn't know the details of how Stas and Nastya met, and Nastya also turned out to be a violinist. At his wedding, for the first time in many years, Stas picked up the violin again, and together they performed a sad romantic melody that made all the guests cry. If you liked the story, please support me with a like. And to learn about the release of new interesting stories, subscribe to my channel. All the best to you. Thank you for watching.